showtime. More than sports now. More than crunch time. We rush like fourth down.
I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. We been on that paper chasing all that fashion. We been on that paper chasing what you ration.
Been in the grind now. We ready for prime time. Ready for shine now. Be ready to get mine. On the rise, all eyes up on us now. Blast off spaceships till the touchdown.
Energy level on high. Put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. Energy level on high. Put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though.
Yeah, baby.
Oh,
Getting ready to. The
Yes,
unreleased track. The unreleased track. It's just the theme song. That's all it is. That's all
yes,
it is.
sir.
But if you would like to place that in your movie or your television show, you hit us up and you let us know. And we could probably even get a Fly verse in there too, you know?
Absolutely.
We getting ready to. What's good, Fly?
Brother, it's been a week of weeks, to say the least.
It has been a week of weeks. It has been a crazy, especially the last couple of days, right?
Especially the last couple of days.
What up, Tree? How we doing? Good to have you aboard. Tree was busy last week. She hit me up after. She was like, "Man, sorry, Pro." I was like, "You like our co-host,
Right?
Tree."
Nope.
It's like,
Always
we can't do a
faithful.
show without Tree. How are we gonna do that? Do I sound a little muted to you, or is it just me?
No, you sound kosher.
I sound kosher. Huh? All right, cool. Well, it must be just me. Let me turn that up a little bit. 1, 2. Yeah. Good. Well, yes. Well, I'll tell you what's good, Tree. Good evening, fellas. We're gonna say it was good. We were just talking about, we had to talk a little bit about the state of the world. You know what I'm saying? And the world has been a little crazy. And Fly, what were you saying about back in the day? You were talking about a year ago or something. You were saying?
Yeah, so a year ago, man, I was reading an article. I actually had a conversation with my wife. I like to keep clips and stuff like that whenever I'm like theorizing about future events and stuff like that. Just my own really personal, especially when it's anything political. I don't like to make political statements and nothing like that. So
prophecies and revelations.
You know what I'm saying? So I just was like, man, Russia is going to do something crazy. And I got that inkling from an article that I read a year ago when Russia was kind of creating a separation from the US dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew then that, it was about independence and about all the potential sanctions and ties or the overlord we are as the United States, because our dollar is so interwoven into the whole world. And all those wars we get involved in, that quote unquote has nothing to do with us. It's us sewing our dollar into the DNA of all these other countries so we can have control.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw like the crypto booming, the whole thing was just creating some financial independence, not just for individuals but for countries.
Yep.
To be able to come up with their own currency to say, hey, I don't need the US dollar. Like, man,
might be the only way you're going to be able to use your dollar right now if you're Russia.
Exactly. It's the only way right now. They have ways of moving around. That's why they don't like. I just couldn't imagine that this man being, for lack of a better word, a diplomat, in Russia.
That is
And
that is a lack of better words.
yeah, for lack of a better word, in Russia, and not having enough sense enough to know the ramification of a move like that. He had that thought about this strategically,
Of course.
and have had other ways to maneuver around, maybe through crypto or whatever, some kind of financial stability of some sorts, man. There's a lot of people like counting on him too. There's some other people as a part of, you know, what they got going on, the Kremlin and all that.
Yep.
And that are not necessarily government officials or whatnot, but their families are tied to the Kremlin. And so, I mean, all their money's been frozen and all that. I'm like, surely he didn't just blow the hole on
Yeah,
just, nah.
yeah. You know, I was thinking too, and I don't know if she's watching, but shout out to Ramelia. We had Ramelia on the show before. She is a singer I did a track with, and she is from Russia, and she's here in the States right now. And I would be really interested in getting her on to talk about it from her perspective.
Yeah,
I don't know what she'd feel comfortable saying, or what she would and she wouldn't be able to say, you know, because that has some ramifications, you know. But
she here now. She good.
yeah. Well, you know, you never know on those situations. You know, you never know.
Family, yeah,
Yeah,
all that.
yeah, all kinds of stuff, and when you might have to go back, and you know, a lot of other that kind of stuff out there. So, but yeah, man, just trying to get that perspective, because you know, so often we only get half the story. You know,
Absolutely.
we get, and what half it is depends on maybe what news sources we check out. You know, and there's that says a lot too. And you know, I was in some discussions about the same thing, and trying to talk to some different people about what their opinions are. And you know, you find out really quickly that if people are watching a completely different news source than you may be watching, it can be a little tricky. And one of the things I like to show, I'm pulling it up right now while we're talking. I don't know if you've ever seen it, the media bias chart. It's yeah. And so I'm gonna put it on the screen right here for any of our viewers who may not have seen such stuff. So this is the media bias chart here, and you know, it changes from time to time. I'm gonna put that up there. Let me blow this up just a little bit. So it gives you kind of an idea of like what's in the center, you know, like what's supposedly centrist, you know. So this is not the best one too. Like this one you see here, September 2021. It's version 8.0, right? So you have the most extreme left wing, most extreme right wing. You know, it's always funny to go down to the bottom and see like what's on there, like what's crazy left. Now, for me, watching much more on the left side of newscast, I do watch the Young Turks, and like they're clearly very, very left of center. There's no doubt about it. But I was mentioning this morning to somebody talking about this too. I was like, you got to understand when you're reading the New York Post, you know, you're watching Fox and Friends. That's also way over here too. You know, in general, you'll see Fox News. A lot of people watching that OAN network. And then here's your boy Hannity, way over here on the way far right.
Right, way.
And he's like minorly compared to the Alex Jones stuff and InfoWars. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you're watching OAN on TV, it's over here. But then there's, the reason I bring this up is then there's RT. And RT is basically Russian television, the propaganda station that it is. It's completely controlled by the government of Russia, right? And so they'll put out articles that are actually pretty good if they happen to do like, you know, weather and, you know, in airspace and travel or something. If it's just kind of really nonpartisan kind of news, right, that's just legit news, then the stuff is actually like normal. But if it has anything to do with Russia, it is like the almighty Russia has decided, you know, and it's completely you know, controlled by the state. And all it takes is a quick look up to realize that that's, you know, so you'll hear people say talking points that come out of that, and you can really see like where they're getting their news from, you know? So anyways, it's just interesting, you know, to see like to kind of say, okay, am I reading, you know, what you look up here in the top of the pyramid here and you try to see sort of what's in the middle, right? You get your BBC, which is a pretty middle, you know, station, right? You get Forbes, like these more trusted kind of stuff, and you see CNN left of center. It depends which one you read. Like maybe you might find them over here, and it depends at what time. But as of recently late, it's jumped over a little bit more to the left. You got Rachel Maddow, something I watch her like pretty much every night. So you get the idea of what's on there. But I also love to watch stuff that's on the far right, and just to see how vastly different the two stories are.
Vastly different it is, bro, and that's so true, man.
Yeah, and so it just really depends who you're talking to, what talking points they might be parroting, and you can kind of pick that up on. And we all do it. We all have our biases, but the difference is you got to be able to admit them. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't admit them. They just come out and they be like, yo, I'm extremely left leaning, right? There's not like I'm way over there, and but I have a couple things that are sort of middle or maybe even slightly to the right of, but there's very few. And so without elaborating too much, I'll just say this. I was discussing with people about this all day, and some of the people that were doing the really hard right talking points, I was like, bro, you sound like Russian propaganda, like, and you got to really think about where you interpret and where you're getting your news sources from.
Where you getting your news, absolutely.
But hey, we don't know so much. You know what I mean? We only know so much, and some people are chiming in too. I'll post some of the messages here. If you're talking the Eastern conflict, those that have been alive long enough know the president before Putin was an animal. He did this over and over the whole time he was in charge. This is nothing new with Russians in the world. Yeah. Pro sound great. Cool. Thank you. Heartbreaking peace for Ukraine. What up, Juice? Juice. I hit you up on your page. I meant to type in Juice there, but I didn't get a chance to type it in. You looking fly tonight, Fly? Of course, man. With the matching bowls.
Matter rep for the city tonight, baby.
You do that, man. You do that. I'm proud of you. I'm heading out to Chicago soon, bro. I'm gonna be out.
I know, bro. You got your conference.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. It's not actually. There's a conference that I'm not part of. I'm just part of the show.
Gotcha.
We're trying to get people from the conference to come over because it is connected to the American Physics Society, Society. But our thing is at a high school, so be cool if you're at Solorio High School by any chance. Come on down, or if you're in Chicago, it's there's free food, and to the best of my knowledge, there's no proclivity of people being able to get in. So just pushing quantum steam and all that stuff. But yeah, man, back to the topic at hand. I mean, I guess it really just depends, what you're thinking of, but you see a lot of apologists on the right now that you never really had before for Putin. So things have really switched the last couple of years. It used to be that the right wing was extremely anti-Russian, Russia die at all costs, kind of people.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, hey, it was softened up a little bit by the Trump administration, right? The feelings for
right.
The apologetics going on. Yeah. So now you hear people parroting that, and it's like, are we really pro-Russian now? Are we pro-Putin? Is that where we're at? So
bro, I don't see how I just can't really recall a time in my lifetime where being as our democracy just really ever just really rocking with Russia, that way, in our talks and discussions and our attempt. It just always just seemed to oppose like the diplomacy, even though I call Putin a diplomat. Right. For lack of a better word.
Yeah, man.
It's rough, man. What the Dmitry, whoever that cat was right before him, was rough too, man. Like it's just always been back to the Cold War, but that's as far as I can remember, of reading and history and stuff like that. So I just can't ever think.
Yeah, actually,
we probably still in the Cold War. I mean,
Mikhail Gorbachev back in the day.
Right before I guess Putin's first thing. I guess Putin was in and out.
In and out. Right.
So that's crazy.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people parroting the points I was talking about. The people parroting. I see people talking about, well, he's trying to prevent the Nazi takeover and stuff. And I was like, bro, he's the closest thing to a Nazi.
What Nazi there is? Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, what Nazis are those exactly that we? And I know that the long history with Crimea and stuff, there was some real, kind of really extreme people in certain pockets or whatever. And it is like, this is going to be my pretext for war. We're defending against the Nazis. Like, bro, like Putin's defending against the Nazis. Like, I mean,
yeah, bro.
totalitarian dictatorship, you know,
dictatorship, communistic in the way that's, like you said, that's more totalitarian than anything.
Yeah, they're kind of crazy. But you know, speaking of crazy, and speaking of celebrities, bang! Look who we got in the building.
Bang, 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 bang. Charlie.
There he is.
What we do, man? My guys, what's going on, man?
We trying to rock out, man. We trying to get into it. But you know, we had to talk a little Russia for a little crazy, man. Watching out, dodging the bombs, man. Just crazy times.
Yeah.
So,
It's nuts. It's crazy out there.
Jeff.
What do you say?
Jeff said the boys hoodie is dope, man.
Oh yeah.
Out, but maybe once or twice a year, man.
That's my man, Juice Box. He's an LMC, man. He's a West Coast MC, but he's got like an East Coast flow, and his voice is just sick, yo. If you get a chance to hear, I'll have to play some. Juice, we gotta get you up on here, man. We gotta have you come through. He's really dope. A real MC. But yeah, man, we try to get into some. Is that let me mute your mic for a second there, LD. I think your mic is bleeding out.
It's hot.
It's hot. Yeah. Whoops. Hold on, LD. Hold on. We just turned you down for a second. I just slid you down. Yeah. So what we're saying is we're trying to get into talking some Freedom Corner. We're trying to we specifically did no guests, just a Freedom Corner evening. And before we get too much into that, speaking of guests, I want to talk about, I mentioned to some of you guys who are from Boston, you'll know we got Singapore King coming up one of these weeks real soon. We also got my man Tron. If you know Tron, I'm going to show a little video later of Tron. Tron is an OG dancer. You know, we've had on some dancers before. We've had on my man Shallow. Shallow and Tron are partners, and Tron just came back from the other side of the wall. So Tron is for like 10 years, man. He's back, and Tron's one of my homies. He's going back out to lovely Lowell, where I'm from. So once he gets situated, we're going to have him on, I believe, next weekend. And so we also got, so I mentioned Tron, I mentioned Singapore King, and my man Omega Red is going to be coming through. Omega Red, if you're from Boston, Omega Red's got some cool music in the works that he's promoting right now too. So those are some Boston names that people from the East Coast would definitely know. So yeah, cool, Juice. We're gonna get you in here soon, without a doubt. We'll have to set it up. But for those who don't know, Freedom Corner is ran by the man to my far side over there. That is LD. He is the CEO of Freedom Corner, and actually, he looks like he's in the corner right now. He's over there in the corner, and in the middle, you got my man F.L.Y, who is also on Freedom Corner, and we are both on a track called Freedom Corner, which we are promoting to radio effective immediately. So I think the first day that the rest of the DJs in the country will have it will be Monday. So that's real cool. So last day of Black History Month. So kind of appropriate because Freedom Corner is very much, the song anyways, is very much touches on a lot of issues that would be central to that as well too. So check for that. And LD, can you tell the people just a little bit, if your mic is all set now? I think I got you back. You tell people just a little bit about Freedom Corner and how Freedom Corner got started as a label.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you well.
All right, man. Well, Freedom Corner is my baby. It was birthed when I met Legendary, who's a mutual friend of both F.L.Y and myself. This dude just inspired me to get back into music. I left music for like 15 years, didn't want to do it. And when I met this person, I felt like I should give it another try. So this past weekend, you know what I'm saying, we shot the videos that we sent to you about, it's not about, but concerning the Freedom Corner, of a project on the Freedom Corner and another spot in Raymond, Mississippi. We shot 2 locations in Raymond.
One of them was the record store. I saw you were right in front of the record store, right? So you got to tell me about that.
Yeah, that's right, man. I pass this place often now, being that I'm living in a new place and going through what I'm going through. But I didn't know that there were any old school record shops in the town anymore. And it's not actually in Jackson, it's actually in Raymond, which is odd because it definitely seemed like it should be in Jackson, but it's not. And these were some of the coolest people, man. They welcomed us in. They let us shoot footage. They let us take pictures, and all of that. You know what I mean? We didn't really mention about the video or whatever. Fly kind of took the lead on that, but like I said, this is my baby, man, and I intend for everybody and anybody to hear about it. And whatever I got to do to make that happen, that's what I'm willing to do.
The grind is real. Is that store, by the way, they sell vinyl in there? Old school.
Bro, they got everything, bro.
Yeah. It looked official. I was looking at that place on the outside. I was like, man, it looked like it was one of those old general stores. You know what I mean? That back in the day, you could go in and get like a handful of candy and get some bread and get your necessities or whatever converted into a record store. That's kind of dope.
And what's crazy is when I went to there's a community college, like literally like a stone's throw from that particular location. I passed that location, I don't know how many times. So that record store, as is, from the outside anyway, has been there, I know, at least a couple decades. And so, you know, you just pass it, man. It's you blink, it's in a small town. Very small town. If you blink, you miss it, and if you're not intentionally looking for it, you're just gonna go past it. And this thing, once you get inside, man, like he said, man, the people, the owner, and he got like his kids and stuff like that, just kind of helping them. Man, the people that just like coolest people you ever meet, and like it's at least several thousand records in there, vinyls, small vinyls, big vinyls, 8-track, like whatever you can think of. Pre-2000, it's a lot of stuff. The hip hop section in there is big, but a lot of blues stuff that's related to like the Delta here, locally. And I just couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe all that stuff was in there.
Well, that's crazy. That seems like a natural hookup.
Yeah, man. It was.
It is, man. It was all natural, and it was how how a vinyl store should be. It was perfect. They had lots of memorabilia, posters and whatnot. That's what they really had. They had way more posters and memorabilia and things like that than they actually had of vinyl. That was kind of their focus. But to go back to what you were asking me before about when I met JB Justin, he was living on the street that's in Jackson. It's called Guyan Street, Guynes, Guyan Street, but it had been renamed Margaret Walker Alexander. And a lot of these streets have been renamed. Medgar Evers has been one of those. It's been renamed for the Jackson Southerners, I believe, the mass choir. But on that street, when I met Legendary, he lived on that street. He lived on Guynes, and I would go in for hours with him at a time and then come outside and wonder why there was busloads of older white people, walkers, where hobbling around, this place where on the news, this is where most people are getting shot at. This is, where everything is going on. And I couldn't figure out why in the hell they were on this street until I walked down the street one day and saw that was Medgar Evers and his wife's house.
So
and that's when we shot some of the video. Yeah, the greenhouse.
So these were the tourists out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw the plaques on the house. That was crazy that you guys got that footage like that too, because I was like, "What is this right here?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Medgar Evers' spot and all that kind of stuff." Yeah, so it
was like 6 houses down from where me and Legendary started recording music, and I had no idea that he even lived on this street. He was living with somebody else at the time. And when I went down there and I saw all that, I was like, man, that's where the inspiration from Freedom Corner and all that came from. When I realized I was actually on the corner, I was actually in the corner, I was actually a part of the corner, understanding, overstanding, and understanding everything that was going on, and that's where it really came from.
That's crazy deep. Wow. So Fly, I was going to ask you this question too, kind of representing people that are out there. I know you're not originally from there, you're a Chicago guy, But for let me turn this mic down again. For in the perspective of like what LD is to that area for like especially for like labels and so forth, what would it take for another artist out there to be able to find somebody else? Like are there, I guess what I'm asking is what is an artist to do to get put on in an area like Jackson? Like what are the outlets? Are there any, or do people have to get up and move? Or and if it wasn't for LD, what would be your situation down there as an artist?
So, there's pretty much a general consensus amongst people who are here. And like L, like me and JV, man, we met, we've been friends 15 years. And so we both kind of met when we were like teenagers. He's a little younger than I am. And so we were both teenagers. And so we know people, and we're all indirectly linked to a large group of people who have been doing music in some form or fashion, either do recording or producing or rapping or whatever, has been in Jackson. Talented people too. And it's just like a general consensus that, man, there's not a lot of outlets as far as being able to, excel here, within the limits of the city itself. And so most people, man, just feel like they have to get out, and it's crazy. And I'm telling you, it's local artists, good artists that's here today that would say, man, you got to leave just to get what you need to do and come back, or people will respect you more, or they appreciate you. I hate to make blanket statements because, Mississippi's been a haven for me. I don't know where I'd probably be dead in jail if I hadn't been here. And so I appreciate being here. But as an artist, yeah, you definitely feel like, man, if I don't get up out of here, do my thing and come back, that kind of feeling. So you have like blues, like if you was heavily in the blues, you got a better opportunity, like stuff like that. But for hip hop, it's just struggle. We had like maybe, you got people that you'd be surprised are actually from here, who have family from here, like Rick Ross, who don't claim here because their success never happened here in Mississippi. They had to go somewhere else. People who had ties like Snoop and all those type of people, even entertainers, just in general, entertainers that's from here, that you don't hear them talking about Mississippi a lot. It's just a thing.
We hear a lot of, like, out where I am, you hear negative stuff a lot. You hear like there's a high shooting per capita ratio, like even though it may not be the hotbed of all, you don't think of it as like a big city crime, but per capita, it's one of those places that's way up there in terms of,
And that's more recent. It hadn't always been that way. That's probably happened over the last.
What do you think that's, any idea what that's from? Or like, is that because of just the change in environment out there, or is it economy based, or what do you think?
It's both. It's a combination of things, man. It's a combination of things. And Mississippi itself, man, has always generally been a suppressed place.
Yeah.
Right. Going all the way back, like you said, with Medgar Evers just being a guy that was a civil rights activist and just going about his day, this man in his driveway, his house, and get assassinated. That's kind of like the culture here, for people, especially people of color, trying to succeed. Those are the barriers and the hoops we consistently had to hurdle, specifically in Mississippi and places like this. And so it's just kind of been a thing. It's hard to really succeed without having to face a lot. And then once that happens for so long, you spend your whole existence playing catch up, and then now everything else is catching up. So now the youth is trying to resemble the things that they see in the big cities.
Right.
And on the movies with the cartels, and so now everybody just shooting, like there's no structure. I came up, I'm not proud of this, but I came up in an environment, where at least as being part of something, what you would probably call a gang, it was organization. Like, you just couldn't do what you wanted to do. You couldn't go to this neighborhood and just do whatever you want to do. You couldn't. There was at least rules of engagement. Like now, yeah.
And I'll say this just to piggyback of what he's saying. The government uses a lot of different words. They use certain words to associate, people's ideas and put ideas in people's psyche of what they want them to think. They use the word gang. Gangs are not gangs the way they perpetuate them. That's not what it was meant to be. The people that led these gangs are from Mississippi. The people that led these gangs, that are so-called leaders and kings of these gangs, are from Mississippi. They're from the Delta. They're from 2 hours northeast of where we're from.
Mm.
And so you go up Mega Evers and you keep going, you run into where Larry Hoover is from. You run into where Jeff Fort is from. And that's really what it's about. It's a whole lot of, it's a whole lot of wordplay and it's a whole lot of different things going on, but these youngsters are just misguided. They don't understand. When you listen to something on the news every day that says this gang did this, it's not a gang. It was never meant to be a gang. And if you know anything about it, then you know better than that. But ignorance is always the problem. And if you don't know and you're talking about it, then honestly, you need to shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah. Juice just threw up there. It was a way of protecting the neighborhood from police brutality. Yeah. Very, very real.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what it's for. And these people are from
or executions.
Snoop Dogg's people are from Mississippi. Too Short's people are from Mississippi. Everybody in Chicago's grandmother is from Mississippi. Anybody in Michigan's grandmother is from Mississippi. Right. New York, LA is the same thing. Chicago, they went up north first, Chicago, and then they went out west to LA. These are the roots. You know what I'm saying? We had the roots to everything right here. And the roots are less than 2-3 hours away from where we're from. And this is what it is, man. And people don't understand that. So if you don't know what you're speaking on, then you need to be.
What is now the scene like? Like, for instance, I only know from y'all, right? The sound that's down there through you. But I mean, I've heard, whispers and stuff from other people who are in that area. And y'all sound a bit different to me. And I'm wondering, is that like changing? Like, is the sound down there changing, or is the sound what you would typically think of traditional Southern hip hop?
No, the sound's not changing here. I'm at an age where me having my fourth round back in music is changing. And I'm affected by different things right now. I let different things affect me in a different way. But the sound is not changing. These youngsters, they on the same thing that they always been on. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I was their age, I was on the same thing they on right now. I just had a smaller gun. They got a bigger gun.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's the only difference. It ain't no difference. The only thing is the leaders, the older leaders that I can call them leaders, yes, but they're behind bars.
Yeah.
Behind bars, you have even more power than you have on the street. But I'm gonna leave that at as it may be, right? But it's like these youngsters, they don't have any guidance, man. They just got bigger guns, and their sons and their nephews and their nieces are out here with no guidance. They don't have any kind of structure. They're just going off of the old blueprint, what they remember, what they've probably never even seen ever for real. And some stuff that I've seen for real. And it's just me trying to change the direction of where they're going, because I know where they're going.
I was just on a call with Bridging the Gap. I was just talking to Tam. Tam's our people, and she actually had we were up on her show doing the track that we made for them, and she had a bunch of youth on there. And this is her purpose. This is literally, it's trying to end violence in the community and trying to show people a different way and provide some kind of hope, some spiritual guidance, some mentorship, some positive youth outreach. And it seems like we could just replace the words Jackson, Mississippi with literally any city in the country, right? It seems like this is like a like the Five Guys, sort of, there's a Five Guys in
Right.
every city or whatever, um, corporation it is, right? That just comes up and does the franchise. It's like, oh, franchise. This is, you know, hopelessness, despair, alternative is X,
Right.
and as LD said, it's just, sometimes it can get just more extreme in time because maybe people get more efficient or there's a better way of quicker communication with the rise of social media and so forth. And episodes like this, you can see how to play the part that you're slowly coming into a little bit quicker,
Absolutely,
and
man.
exacerbate it. And then, we all do these. We get on a lot of shows. We get on a lot of rooms, and we all sit around. We talk about like what's the solution, and it depends what like where you come from on it. But to me, it's a money issue. To me, it's always about resources. People don't like to talk about money, especially in education or social work. Those are sometimes taboo words, and people will blame it on hip hop or they'll blame it on whatever. Not enough positive role models. While all of those things can play some kind of a role, it's like at the end of the day, if people have opportunity, they don't feel despair. You know what I mean? At least that's my kind of outlook. If people have viable opportunities where they say, "Oh yeah, I can do that," then you strive for that. But if you don't have an opportunity and you don't see it, if you don't see it and you can't believe that it can be you, in the immortal words of R. Kelly, if I see it, I can believe it, right? It's like
Oh.
never thought I'd quote R. Kelly, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
but
Especially in this situation.
especially in this situation, right? But hey, the quote fit.
Yeah.
But if you can't see it, you can't believe it, right? And it's like, what do we do in terms of like giving people resources? And I know some people would argue that you can't just throw money at everything, but it's a start when communities
Yeah.
don't have it like that. When you look just 3 miles away and you see another community that has it, and you look at it and you go, what's the difference of that community? Resources, right? And then resources actually are the things that cause all the other stuff that we look to. I think many times when we go, yeah, but the families are together over there. Yeah, well, one reason the families are together is because of resources, right? And because there's like some kind of hope or whatever. So that becomes the quote unquote desirable community to live in. And that, school choice becomes an issue, or people are pulling people out of schools and using vouchers to get in other communities and taking resources from one community. But other people would argue, hey, I don't want my children to have to go to this particular school district when I have an opportunity to put them over here. And so you got all these kind of heated things, but you see at the root of all these things is really opportunity and finances. And it's like always the magic recipe. In places that don't have as many opportunities and don't have as many resources, become perpetual cycles of like what you're describing in Jackson, Mississippi,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem any different anywhere. It's the same problems we have in Lowell, Massachusetts, Dorchester, Mattapan, Roxbury, all communities in Boston. We could just replace the names. We just see it. The more you travel, you see it everywhere. You go, oh, Jackson is exactly like Lowell. You know what I'm saying? It's 100%. I mean, everybody's a little different, but the things that seem commonality, don't seem to change too much. And we pretend that money isn't an issue a lot of times, but. So what's the solution? Money. A lot of time.
Is he saying something? I can't hear him.
Who's that? Oh, I'm sorry, LD. We got you muted. My bad. Sorry. Say it again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it's to just to veg you back on what you said. The first issue is always the money. It's like Miami. Money is always an issue, and so if I have that, I can open a lot of doors, right? But
Right.
I need that, number one, right? Number two, I need somebody that can make it relatable. I need F.L.Y. I
Right.
need F.L.Y who can bring the kids in and say, hey man, this is cool. What he doing, this is cool. You know what I'm saying? And then number three, I need somebody who is what I like to think of myself of. I'm gonna go to the store late at night and you know what I'm saying? I grab folks by their collar, man. Hey man, what you doing, bro? Like you messing up. This ain't what we need.
Mm.
This is what we need to fix. You have to have somebody on the ground to fix it and talk with the G's, talk with the OGs, whether they think they OGs or they not, they BGs, whatever the case may be, man. You
Why?
got to have somebody on the ground to talk to these people and touch these people. Put your hand on their shoulder, direct them on where to go. They don't know where to go. They want to know where to go, but they
That's right.
don't know.
That's
They
right.
have no idea on what to do. So you need somebody on the ground. You need somebody that I can say, hey man, you need to listen to this album, bro. Listen to Forever Lives Yahweh, I Am Fly. Listen
Mm,
to it. Take a
mm.
listen to it. And then send you to Jackson State, right around the corner. All this can be done within an eighth of a mile
Mm.
from my hood to Jackson State.
That's it. Exactly. It's the funny how a few hundred yards can change.
A few
You know
hundred
what I'm
yards.
saying? Yeah.
That's it. I'm sending them down the road to the auditorium. I'm snatching them. I'm saying, hey, listen to this. Go down here. I'm going to go with you. You're going to ride with me. I'm going to bring you in here and you're going to listen to this. And this is what it's going to be. And that makes a difference,
It
man.
sure does, man.
They don't feel as though they have another option.
Yeah, I said the same quote earlier today. I said the same thing in her room. I said it was actually 7 o'clock, so it wasn't that early. 7 o'clock Eastern time. It's 9:41 now. I said the same thing. I said I didn't feel like I had permission to do something positive until I saw someone else doing it. And I'm not a non-positive person. It's just we're so concerned about, what it looked like, what our reputation is, how soft I'm going to appear. I don't want someone jumping me because I appear soft because I'm not, punching someone in the face when I see them or carrying the biscuit into the store and, repping my colors wherever I go and having the flag out the back of my pocket. If I'm trying to do something right, it can appear as soft. And so it was like I was given the Chubb Rock story where I went down to Harvard, saw Chubb Rock speak for the first time and talk about the fact that dude had a master's. And I was like, a master's? What's that? You know what I'm saying? And I think about if I didn't go to that event and hear that dude talk about having a master's degree and think about how cool that sounded in my head to be in like an educated like MC. I was like, yo, that can be the blueprint. But I had to hear it. I had to hear that dude say it and be like, yo, that could be my lane. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's in my heart. And as to LD's point, it's like they want that. They want to know, like, yo, how do I switch it up? Because it's not like people want to be doing whatever they're doing. That's that deficit mentality that a lot of people have, like those younger hoodlums or whatever. It's like, nah, bro, like people to people, and people are all trying to do the same thing. They're trying to provide for their family, have a safe place to come home, make a little bit of money and change their circumstance and provide for their family and their children. That's pretty much universal. It's the same thing with this war we're talking about. Same thing, whatever the situation is, there's haves and there's have-nots. And most people are just trying to like live their life. Like we'll talk about all this Russia stuff, right? Really, we're really talking about one dude. It's Putin, right? The rest of the Russian citizens can't even speak out against it. They don't even have the freedoms in their country, for the most part, to really come out and say something. And it's similar for our young people. Our young people don't really have the freedom necessarily to always or the license to come out and say what's in their heart because of how it's perceived, or because that's not what people do, or believe in it. Oh, we don't have a voice. And it's like, yo, you do have a voice. You know what I mean? And sometimes we have to show them and be like, yo, there is a pathway. There is a blueprint. Your voice is powerful. Your spoken word can be powerful. Your hip hop can be powerful. Your graffiti can be powerful. Your dance can be powerful. Your acting can be powerful. Your graphic arts can be powerful. Your science mind can be powerful. All these things can be cool and powerful. But like LD said, you might need to get that eighth of a mile away and be at the university or be at the community college or be at the whatever, trade school, whatever it is to switch it up. So,
man, I'll say this, and it's probably good to be, I guess, a little different from our general consensus, because I feel like we always generally agree on some of the issues that we face socially, especially with the communities. I'll say this from my perspective, having been on both sides, growing up in an environment where I felt like the streets was the only solution and the only answer, and so I was definitely the picture perfect product of my environment, right? Like the epitome of the product of your environment. And oftentimes we talk resources as far as a solution, but I know for me it was about a change of heart. Nobody offered me money. Nobody offered me a job. Like I know, like the challenges. I've been married my entire adult life. I really just got to a point in my life, Pro, where I was ready for a change, and I wasn't gonna wait on nobody else to do it for me. And I found a relationship with God, and it caused me to change my mind and my heart. Now, mind you, the entire time, as far as resources, I still had none. But I just had my determination and the mindset that I wanted better than what I had experienced. I had watched my homies get killed. I had watched my brother's homies get killed. I got phone calls on my oldest brother getting murdered. I had seen too much, done too much, and I knew that that wasn't the path I wanted to take. So here I am as an adult, married, with no one to say, this is how you get a job, this is how you do an interview, no college degree, none of that. And I had to grind my way to where I am, and it really started with a change of mind and a change of heart. And I feel like culturally, if people can get to the point, and that's really like my intent and my focus with Question the Culture and just my music and me just really trying to use that to create an audience to tell people that if you change your mind and your heart, like that's the thing that makes the sky the limit. It opens up the doors for you. It's just a change of perspective because all the opportunities are there. We just have to make sure that we're setting ourselves up in the right position so that when the opportunities do come, we're prepared to receive them. And that's basically how all my 20s went. Opportunities came. I stopped getting high so that I could pass the drug test. So that when I needed to get that job to take me from $10 an hour to $20 an hour, I was prepared. I didn't want to have excuses. And I noticed from being in operations for the last decade or so, employing people, hundreds and hundreds of people, I still to this day run into people, man, they just don't want to work. And I'm saying it this way to say that even that I know people that I have personally offered opportunities to, but because the state of mind they were in hadn't changed their mind and heart about what they wanted to do and how to do it, they was just like, no, bro, you can keep it. I'd rather sit at home. Or I'd rather do what I've been doing. And so being an example for them is always something that's very important to me. And just being intentional about making sure my music relates. Like, yeah, I know what it's like. I tell my employees this all the time. It's like, none of y'all got more kids than me. Like, I know what it's like. Had to be at work at a certain time of day and having to find somebody to watch your kids. I've been there. Trust me. And nobody was paying me to do it. Nobody was guiding me and leading me through step by step. I prayed about it. I opened up my Bible, I read it, and I learned principles. Even if you don't believe in God spiritually the way I do, if you open up that book, the amount of principles that exist in it will transform your mentality in your life is undeniable. Like, even if you just treat it like regular literature, like any other book you can pick up, like you got these people getting, bestseller, New York Times bestseller for selling self-help books. Pick up this particular
a lot of that out there.
It's a lot of that. I'm thinking, like, if you can just pick up this one book, it's full of so many life principles that you can apply to your life. And I know they work because I did it myself. I still don't have a college degree. And to this day, I still don't have anybody that per se said, look, here's the money, here's the bag. I had to work for it. And I had to trial and error that thing and hit my head. I was a new husband, a new father. I didn't have a relationship with my dad like that. I had nobody really tell me this is the way you dad. You know what I'm saying? I had nobody tell me like this is the way you husband. I grew up in environments where I saw long-term marriages. I just didn't. I didn't have no examples. I just had to make up mine. I was reading them biblical principles, bro, and they literally changed my life. Like, it matured me, and it gave me principles on how to behave when it came to altercations. Because it was a part of me that's from the streets was just like, I'm not gonna let this man talk crazy to me. And I would have lost a lot of opportunities if I had to react impulsively, like how I felt in my emotions. But I had read principles that said a soft answer turneth away wrath. And so I practiced that. And I realized that my problems became easier to resolve because I changed. I didn't expect the world around me to change. I made the change. I took the self-accountability for the mistakes that I made or the lack of opportunities there was. It's not going to be that simple for everybody. And it wasn't simple at all for me. It was tragic. If I could do it over and do it a different way, I probably would. But it's really about changing your mind, changing your heart, being determined,
Yeah,
what little resources you may or may not have, because some of us may never get it.
and I think your story, you know, where I relate to that is there is some privilege in that too. It's like I was able to move that one community away. You were able to move thousands of miles away, right? And really switch up the scenery. And as LD was saying, sometimes it's an eighth of a mile. But when I got to open the alternative program, the thing that really called to me about that alternative program is I knew we didn't have an alternative program.
Right.
We didn't have an alternative program when I was a kid. If I didn't have two parents together at the time to be able to come up with this business plan to move and the means to do it, right? The means to do it, to say nope, to, like you said, calling it the GANG word, right? And I'm talking elementary school, you know, like gang stuff. Like, come on, bro. Like, it was like the gang violence, the situation, guns coming into the community. And it was like in elementary school. You know what I mean? It's like, how many families have the opportunity in elementary school, especially with young parents, like I know I had, right?
Yes.
Whose parents have the wherewithal and the state of mind to be able to, and the means to be able to go do that. Or to, like in your case, have a relative somewhere else you can get shipped off to or whatever. So what about the people who, let's say, and then you using the spirituality piece, like finding a religion, right? And like finding, what about the countless people that have already found it, that have it, right? But still are doing what they got to do, right? Every day. And then don't have the ability to do what you were able to do, what I was able to do, right? Just kind of, just move to the nicer community where my parents didn't grow up and your parents didn't grow up necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out the hood, right? And move to where it's a little bit better, you know? And then it's like, what are the resources for them? And then we're back to that, in a way, we're back to that circular kind of thing. It's like, well, then it's resources again.
Yeah, but you may never move out the hood. Like
you might never, yeah.
I moved from the hood in Chicago to one of the worst neighborhoods in Jackson. I never really escaped the hood.
Never fully get out. Yeah.
Right. I just changed.
But it was a switch. It was a switch, yeah.
For me, it was just about, I don't think I could think about, I'm just trying to look back over it. I'm thinking like, only thing changed was me. Like, my environment changed, you know, demographically. But
physically, yeah.
You know, but geographically, but it was the blueprint.
Similar, like we were saying earlier, there's a similar blueprint.
It was similar. The only thing I could think of was that I changed. Like, nothing else around me changed. I was just like, man, you know what? This is not it. It's not
my thing being like on mine is like, I moved from the city to the suburbs. It was a complete change, you know, and it was like at a time when it was relatively affordable for certain families to be able to do that. If there were maybe two family, like, you know, we're on a military salary kind of thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one person working, you could still do it back in the day, right? You could still make that jump along if you had certain privileges working for you anyways. You could make that jump. You could get there, and you could maybe make that happen.
Yeah, man.
But then you think, I mean, so much, right? It's so much as the research.
Definitely important.
And if you don't have any of that other stuff we talk about working, like for me, the ability to do that fundamentally changed me and say, okay, environment is everything. You know, like it's like a clean slate. You know, and even if it's not the most ideal, I mean, I was kicking and screaming to even go there. I was like, look at all these trees and I was like, yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna know anyone or whatever. He's just a little kid at the time, you know. And then you're kicking and screaming about it, and you're like, oh, look what was in store for me, right? Things get switched up and for the better. And then people turn to hip hop and be like, I think I've seen a lot of people be saved through hip hop too, like sort of the environment and the culture and taking people in and changing people's lives up. Now, the problem for me, and this is what I wanted to talk about a little bit to shift the gear a little bit, is sort of that financial end on the hip hop side. Is it a false narrative? Is there really a viable way for the masses of people to prosper doing music, especially hip hop music?
When you say prosper, what would you?
Well, I mean, some people. Let's face it. Some people get into music for the money, right? People get it. They see the stories, they see the artists, and they see, it looks real good over there. The grass looks real green on the other side, right? Yeah. Like, I want to get me some of that hip hop money, right?
Yeah, little do they know.
And I see scores of people who are broke
after having some success, so to speak, in hip hop,
or none. or none. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, the other side, you're right. I mean, there's the people who've had some success, then they go broke, and there's people who try their whole life to get a check and never do.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is that? Like, why is it not feasible, or is it? And people just aren't going about it the right way, right? Is it not feasible to make a living in hip hop, even modestly?
I
I
would
mean,
say, to your point, even just with you having success as an MC, that with any profession of any kind that you do, I mean, there's always hit and miss. You know, of course, we athletes is probably the one thing that we might have all in common, that we can look at the same as it relates to the few people that make it to the professional level, and rarely do people count the millions of people that don't ever
they
make
don't.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or it's like 1%, 5%, or something like that. Some crazy low amount of people that actually attempt to play sports that never get to that professional level.
Yeah,
And so
1%. Yeah.
the same is true about hip hop. And I mean, you probably consider it about anything, right? Like, there's probably a lot of people who went to school for math that never became a math professor like you did.
Well,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? And so it's probably true about everything. And I guess that's kind of why I like to view the perspective of, how do I find peace and contentment with my life without all the stuff, without it being tied to, you know, the stuff and things. I have to find a way, and that's kind of like my perspective when I'm coaching or teaching people, is that you have to be able to find peace and contentment with what you have, because the truth about it is that there's always, if everybody got money, then the value of money changes.
True.
You know what I mean? And so
It
the
goes
truth
down.
about it, it goes down. It's never, and that's another biblical principle that I read: the poor you will have with you always. And so if there aren't classes, then the value of money, this thing that we're all chasing, it really doesn't have the same value if we all had it. And so what makes it so valuable is that we don't all have it. And I think that we just found a way to just find contentment, man, in what we have. And just like Jay wrote a line, he said, we were so happy poor. But when we got rich, that's when some of the guys crossed and things got twisted. He was speaking about a perspective, or Biggie talking about more money, more problems. He's speaking of a perspective that we think the solution is money or whatever that thing is we're chasing, when really the solution is internal. It's like finding that peace, finding that solidarity within, like me being content with my wife. And that keeps me within the confines of my marriage. You know what I'm saying?
It reminds me of a quote, and I'm quoting some people today. Let me tell you, I'm gonna say this
Please
quote.
don't
I'm gonna say this quote for you.
Epstein,
Let's see if you can guess who this is. This is
you better quote Jeffrey Epstein next.
this is another celebrity. No, it's confidence literally starts from yourself. You have to go look in the mirror at yourself. If you don't like what you see, you're going to give off that energy. Do you know who says that?
I have no idea.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's Megan Thee Stallion, baby. Yeah, that's
not
what I'm
hiding,
saying.
not the hottie.
You weren't.
Meg the hottie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Bro,
So
you
you weren't.
throwing some quotes out there today.
You weren't thinking Meg
Was the last thing I was thinking. Absolutely not.
Nah, I mean, you don't get R. Kelly and Meg in the same show too often. Yeah, man. But then, you know, there's some other great quotes out there too that I don't even know who did them. But you know, you must expect great things of yourself before you can do them. I think that was Michael Jordan actually, but I ascribe everything to Michael Jordan and Einstein when in doubt, you know. But I think that was Michael Jordan actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a mentality, bro.
Absolutely.
I pray about that all the time, man. And so that's why I care. As far as resources, to me, I feel like the greatest resource is
money is the only paper.
The greatest resource I feel like to our society is education. Ale spoke about it earlier, about just the ignorance that exists, and I believe ignorance gets us more in trouble than lack of opportunity.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Because even if my situation never changes,
ignorance is right up there with the opportunity one. There's no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Even if my situation never changes, if I can just somehow be content with not having, man, bro, if I gave up everything I had and I just was cool, like you, and just to tie into what you were also saying about you making certain decisions based on perception. Like you behave, we may have behaved a certain way because we didn't want to look a certain way to certain people. And
Absolutely.
so, and we do this in the hood. We know we talk about poverty and how broke we are, but we'll spend $200 on a pair of shoes.
Let me give a couple still pictures here for people to see what we're talking about here. A couple Freedom Corner pictures here. Um, let's go. I got to see where I have them here. I know I have them. It's just a matter of me sharing them. Let's see. Bang. There we go. Right there. Check this one out. Bam. Tell us about that.
That's the memorial where Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King, they're both on the sign there. That
Mhm.
particular wreath there is Martin Luther King Day, of course, just passed his birthday, so they set out a wreath for his birthday in his honor. But that's right there on Freedom Corner, man. Medgar Evers Boulevard, Martin Luther King Drive. That's right on the corner.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted people to see some of the works you guys did without showing them video stuff. But yeah, that was dope. I really want to incorporate that into that picture right there into some of what we're doing. So for people that don't know, we got a song. It's on the ProQuo album featuring F.L.Y. It's called Freedom Corner, named appropriately from the Freedom Corner brand. Freedom Corner, the actual spot you just saw right there. And that'll be the radio. Hey, request it if you're listening. Request that Freedom Corner. We'll tell you all the stations it'll be at, and stream it yourself. We on Spotify under ProQuo, one word. And Freedom Corner is track number 2, and that's the track we talking about. You can see the topic video. There's no actual video for it yet. We're making one down the line, so we want that to follow up after the single, and for y'all to be able to hear it. And by the way, we also gonna drop a whole bunch of other singles that we're gonna promote to radio as well too, from all kinds of different projects. I know on my side, I'm doing the a couple of fees joints there. We're gonna try to promote to radio as well. A couple that me and Quo are on, and one that I'm on. The ski joint there, we're gonna do back in the days, and the Beast Over Beats if we can. We also trying to drop Dive In It off the ProQuo album, and we're thinking about Apologize, and we're also thinking about Gravity, and we
Y'all
also
going
thinking
all out, bro. Y'all
we
need
also
to just do a short film for the album.
yeah, well, we're gonna promote them to radio, and that's one thing I wanted to let some people know if you're watching back on the record or you're checking us out now, is that radio songs don't make it to radio by magic. So if you're an artist and you have a song, even some of the artists you've seen on our show right here, the reason we catch wind from some of them is because they have radio promotion people in their corner helping them. They use their contacts that they have at radio, and they kind of give them the gentle nudge and be like, hey, check this out. You should check this out. So you can pay people to work your record, and it's relatively cost affordable, somewhere between $300 and $1,000. You can take a song that you have and make sure that DJs are actually going to hear it. That's in the old days, that would be putting a stamp on it and mailing the records out, and then you just asking them every week, yo, how'd you like this song? Hey, if you like it, can you throw it on, kind of thing. And there's scores of people that work records like that, and you got to have a little bit of a budget. The difference is what the majors do is the majors are working with big budgets to do that kind of stuff. So they're buying spot advertisement. It gets borderline pay for play at that level. And it's just part of the, okay, this is what we're promoting from the machine kind of top down.
Yeah.
And, that's a whole different level. But you can, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60,000 people out there on these general email blasts for the people who have major email blast lines that cover all of the online radio, the actual commercial radio stations, the underground stations, the mix shows worldwide. This isn't just an American thing, but our college market here is serious too. You got a few thousand colleges that in one way or another play either off of their radio stations or off of their online stations, people blogging. There's so much stuff out there now that people are doing. That to cover it all and to make a dent, you really need somebody kind of out there kind of chugging along. And you never know. The first ingredient is the song has to be good. Somebody's got to like it. And then some percentage of that number will like the song and play it. And then you're just hoping for the best. You're hoping some people get to hear it. And if you do that and you plug away, as we were saying, there is some pathways for artists out there, but you got to have a little bit of a budget. Shout out to Millie's from Cambridge, where I'm from. I lived in Cambridge for 10 years and then moved next door to Somerville for about 7. So I feel like Cambridge is, other than like Lowell, is really like greater Lowell area is like 25 miles away from the greater Boston area, and definitely my second home. In my heart, when I think like going home, I think going to Cambridge. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
because like Lowell, it's like Lowell. I haven't lived in Lowell since like 2001 or something like that. You know what I mean? So really, the rest of my life was pretty much in Cambridge, and when I really started promoting a lot of stuff. So in my head, when someone says going home, that's actually where I think of. I think the whole Cambridge Somerville area, and you know, the once you've promoted a song to radio, if it catches, if there's somebody who likes it or whatever, it just gives you a chance to have somebody really take note of you, right? And then it can turn into an article. That article, you never know if that's going to turn into someone watching you, and then they're eventually booking you. And for artists out there who have not been booked into paid shows, you have to think about what's going to make someone book you. Is it going to be that you sound like everybody else? Or is it going to be you sound genuinely like you? And hopefully
Right.
you doesn't sound 100% like everybody else, or there are better versions of you, meaning that there are more well promoted versions of you that are really tough to compete with. So I don't know about you, Fly, but I advocate and say just try to find what makes you unique and
Yes.
be comfortable promoting that.
And be comfortable with that. I'm glad you mentioned that because it kind of ties into the question you were asking earlier about just like Jackson in different areas and
Right.
opportunities and the opinion of what it takes somewhere or what we would consider success as a hip hop artist. Is understanding the niche. And it's kind of talking about the equitable thing. We just kind of talked about opportunities too. Is just really having the understanding that you're your own person, you're unique, and just be content with you may not be a platinum selling artist, but
Right.
you can be good with gold. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's in so many ways. It really doesn't take a whole lot to have a reasonable living in our
Absolutely not.
society. You know what I'm saying? And so I think our issue is sometimes we swing for the fences every time, and we don't
Yep.
think, and we feel like we're not Steph Curry.
I have this
And
argument. Quo and I, we argue about this all the time. We talk about this all the time. We say, and it's draining. I say to Quo, I'm like, yo, it's draining. Like his view, which is great because it kind of balances you out. It's like he's definitely a big shooter. You know what I'm saying? He like he's swinging for that home run, and I'm
right.
like, doubles are cool, singles are cool. I'll walk to first. You know what I mean? And Quo's like, nah, man. But it's his defense. When you're dope, you might as well, right? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like this isn't for everybody. You have to take accountability and say, where am I in terms of talent level? So it makes sense if you're like really highly talented and that you don't depends what your options are as well. That's another thing. It's like, okay, if not this, then what? If not that, then what?
Then
And
what?
I think that's a big piece of it. You have to do that sort of self inventory and say, okay, if I'm promoting me very uniquely, where would somebody like what I do, whatever I is for you, where would be that place? And just narrow in on it,
Narrow
go
in
at
on
it,
it, bro.
and see and give yourself a fair shot. And I was gonna say my shout out to Millie's was gonna be this with the Cambridge thing, was that Millie's Cambridge artist been plugging away for a long, long time, and like people weren't really giving him the time of day, and it was hard to because there's so many artists already on. It's really hard to find slots and shows and all this kind of stuff. And I was never one of those, charge people. If I don't do any of that stuff, it's just you just got to find a slot in the show kind of thing.
Right.
And but you got a million people don't understand when you're promoted. Like when I was promoting, you got 50 people asking you to get into one show, and yeah, I would notoriously try to cram like 8 people in my shows. You know what I'm saying? Really
Right.
knowing that it really should have been like 5 to 6 slots max.
Yeah.
And you got people, trying to get in 8. But what he said was really dope. I forget where he did the interview, but he said you basically got to have like 120. If you got 120K, you can make a dent. If you got a real strong team, if you got if you're dope, if you got some, like he's dope, if you got some dope stuff, you got the right imaging, the right marketing, the right team or whatever, you can make a dent. But then it's like, and then what? What are you going to
And
follow
then
up? So
what?
once you dent that door, you got to now run through it. You know what I mean? And you got to take all your opportunities and be prepared and have your life prepared that you can do that. But if you
So
don't got
you really
120
need,
stacks,
all right. So you really need twice that because you got to follow that up with at least that.
I think this is the point though. I think that it gets cheaper once you've made the dent. It's like once you start
Okay.
punching the wall, you can break through, and opportunities will start to find you once you have a name and you've done, like if you even follow like his mold, right? He does stuff with Jadakiss. He's got on, all the Sway show, all those kind of shows or whatever. And then people start to pay attention and they're like, okay. And by the way, I'm not talking about his situation, but just talking about a lot of the interviews that you see. A lot of artists don't understand this. Those are paid. So when you're going on big time radio shows, right? Like the Sways of the world and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff is you got to pay to get into those. You go on Funkmaster Flex's show. You think people are just walking up on Funkmaster Flex because he heard you got a buzz? No, dudes like that are the biggest DJs in the world. They have slots too. Believe it. If a promoter is charging for a slot to rock at a local show, what do you think a DJ is doing to get up onto the mix shows? You know what I mean? It's big money, right? Or it's big favors, or it's big like and I was just talking about the long line there is to get in a local show at some crummy little spot. What do you think it's like for a DJ trying to get you up there? They're never going to be able to get you up there. So at some point, that those paying to get in shows and kind of stuff, you got to have that in the budget. If that's your home, if you're going for that home run market, you got to have home run money, And so, I mean, my thing I always stand by is like, if you can find out who you are, narrow in on that, try to make it as narrow so there's not many people running in your lane. You have a pretty good chance if you consistently practice, work at it, and go back to the well.
Probability increases.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I'm at the point where I have to say no more to more things because it's just not at the right price, right? And I've been having a lot of talks over the last 3 weeks, and I have one tomorrow I can't do, And the reason I really can't do it is truly because the money's not there, right? It's a great organization. It's a great cause. I've already done it once, and I did it gratis because I know the people who are calling, right? And it was just like a Zoom at that point, right? And they called again, and it's for tomorrow. Now, I do have stuff that's working at the same time, right? And I do have a family, right? So I certainly could move stuff if it was at the right price for the second time around, and it's not. And you have to be okay with saying, I can't do that. And it's hard. It's hard at first as an artist to say, at some point, if nobody's paying you, nobody's always going to be paying you. You know what I mean? So there needs to be a point at which you're comfortable as an artist saying, it's whatever your number is, $2,500. It's that's what it has to be. I was on another call the day before that. 2 days before that, and then followed up with the day before that, where I had to renegotiate the number for what I was doing. And I had to just, in the middle of there were multiple people on the call with me, which was weird. There were like 4 people on the call. And I had to say, I just needed to clarify something here. Because there's something, I don't want to go into the details, but there was something that they were saying, which they were just assuming I was going to do something extra for free in there. And they were just stacking the stuff up. And I was like, whoa, that's actually, I don't mean to be the bad guy here. And I'm representing myself. So I do have to be the bad guy, and I just need y'all to know what is typical, and that's not typical. So what you're asking for right now requires me. This is actually for a flight for me to go out and do a show, right? And they were changing the time to like the show's at a certain time in the day, right? And that they were asking me to come multiple hours before that. Now, all of a sudden, like almost the last minute, like I was on all yesterday looking at the flight times and the day before, right? I'm looking at the flight times. And I'm thinking, because you got to think if you can actually do the show, you got to make it work in your schedule, blah, blah, blah. And you got to start looking at what the cost of things are, especially if you're paid all inclusive for the show. So if someone's giving you $5,000 all inclusive, you got to do the subtraction. You got to say, what's it going to cost me for a flight, the hotel? And so, and so like, okay, I can make $3,700 from this. Is it worth it? And if it is, you've probably factored into what time you're going to arrive at that thing. Like, what else would you be doing with your valuable? You get one life to live. What else would you do for the extra 4 hours? And how much do you charge for 4 hours of your time when someone else just throws on that, hey, they want to do? And this isn't just 4 hours of regular human time. It's 4 hours when someone's booking you as the artist to come. What is your artist hourly rate? It's something really good to think about as an artist. If someone calls you to come rock for 1 hour, are you really just charging 1 hour like an hourly rate, like you would at the job, like $50 an hour or something? Which somebody like F.L.Y, by the way, makes. He was talking about $20 an hour, but he's hired. Bro, don't do it. But he's not going to charge $50, right? Someone's going to say, "Oh, I'll throw you an extra $200 to come 4 hours early." Hell no. Try a couple zeros on the extra on the end of that.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. My artistry is like you paying for a life of experience.
Absolutely.
My artistry is not.
But getting to that point where you're comfortable saying that might be you need to have a decision made. Okay, well, at this point, I need an agent, or this person, I need a manager, I need an assistant manager, I need somebody helping me do that. And a lot of times and I was definitely in this situation for a long time. As an artist, you get comfortable with not going to the next level and just dealing with you sort of plateau on that level that you're at. And sometimes you either need to make that jump, or you, like F.L.Y was talking about earlier, you need to have that mindset jump where you're like, this is what I'm worth, this, because no one does what I do. You got to say, in my situation, it's like, okay, you need a rapping person who's positive and does blah, 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 and can speak to the education market or whatever. You're going to have to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? And you want to be in a situation where you want people to always have to pay for that. So what is the thing you do? That's why I say to all artists, what is the thing you do that nobody else can do, that when you market and position it to, and who would you market it to? When you can answer that question, that's what the goal is. That's everybody's.
What the goal is, bro.
So if I'm F.L.Y, I'm an inspirational rapper who has a life story that he just shared with you, right? Being from Chicago, moved to Jacksonville, he's on a label, he's working with LDs, doing all that stuff. He's a business person, right? To me, it sounds like motivational speaking in a nutshell. Right? It sounds like he could be on a motivational tour. He could be on a inspirational / motivational tour. He could be speaking and performing at those same kind of venues, be doing festivals, so much. It's so, but finding where that lane is limited, which he's already kind of done, but it's like figuring out that target and going hard at that lane. And almost like with blinders on, it's tempting, like, oh yeah, I could do this over here, I could do this over here, but I better go for this right here because it's the path of least resistance. And I don't think we have those conversations enough with younger artists.
Yeah, we don't, again, because that's the fallacies, man, of our society, man. It's like you just got to be the best, so to speak, when it comes to the terms of. I mean, why else would we keep up with the Forbes list, right? We know we just have such high aspirations, and we think that success is one kind of thing when it comes in so many forms. Like I said, it still always just comes back down to that contentment or that niche, finding what that thing is that you do really well and being content with that. Like I think about you all the time, especially when I think about the situations, like just knowing like your history and your success and your potential, and you're just like, bro, I'm cool. Like I like rapping. I'm a professor. I don't want to be gone all the time. I want to be home. I don't want to be on tour for 6 months out of the year. I want to go do my thing and come back. And you're happy. You found your thing and you're happy with that. You heard the word master's degree, found out what it was, and you took it to the place where you can position yourself to be exactly where you are now. That to me is the ultimate success. It has nothing to do with money. You know what I'm saying? It has to do with you knowing who you are and being able to pursue that and living it out, man. That's the dream. Like, it really don't get much better than that. People just have to be okay.
I will say that sometimes, and I try to say, when anytime I'm in a public arena, I try to say that in a way that's most convincing without making people feel like I'm being too preachy to them or whatever. Yeah. But it's just it's always easier said than done. I think about the path to that, and it's like, okay, what are you actually saying? And it's, in a nutshell, do you find your lane, be confident in promoting that, and sort of have horse with blinder focus on, but give it a chance, because it's not going to happen the first second. You're not going to immediately go, I got it. I got my opening. I got my tagline. I am Professor Lyrical, who is known for blah, blah, blah. No, you got to have that line. You got to think about who wants that line. You got to do it. You might have to do, and this is the other thing I don't hear a lot of artists say, and I will freely say it. Before I got to the point of, here's the point for me. I have 16 now. I have 16 things in the works. I have them now finally on a list. I used to not list stuff out. And it was starting to get in my head where I was like, oh my gosh, this is way too much. These are 16 either potential or booked shows that are from now through the summer, right? There's 16 left. some of those are real low priority because they're far away from manifesting themselves, and they have a ceiling that's not very high, right? Because some, like one of them's like a library show, right? And I know the library's budget. I'm just being honest. The library budget is like $3,000, right? And so it's like, that sounds like a lot, but compared to maybe what, if you're willing to travel a little bit, it's nowhere near what you can actually command, right? For festivals and forums and conferences and colleges and spring carnivals and those kind of things, right? Not to mention with it, some of them have television show, interview, class visit, and performance attached. So that's much more big priority, right? So anyways, you take all these things into consideration and go, how can I actually schedule these 17 things into my life? And I'm the one sometimes controlling the schedule, right? And sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it is, this is the day that we have. And so it's like round circles, square pegs, and you're trying to fit things in.
Yes,
And at some point you have to say, I can't do some of these, right? Because of what you defined earlier. I want to be home. I have competing interests, right? I have a son who wants both of his parents there all the time, who's an only child, and he's let us know that very clearly, right? And that matters, right? That's a priority, right? There's like no brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? Like those kind of things, that's real, right? No cousins around. So he relies on mommy and daddy a lot more than the average person. So I can't really be gone for a week. Doesn't really work that well. I can be gone for 2 days, but I even got to space those 2 days out pretty well. If I'm going to be gone 2 days with my son, who right now is in that world where I'm his ace and vice versa, I got to space out the next 2 days and think about when those could be before I hear it from him. Go, Daddy, you're always gone. You know what I'm saying? So it's, and here's the thing. If you're going to take it, you have to charge for that. You have to.
Make it worth your time.
He's got one life. You know what I'm saying? My wife's got one life. I got one life, right? And you need to get what you need to get to make it work in your life so that your son's on your side, your wife's on your side, your friends on your side, your boss is on your side, and that they're rooting for you to do it, as opposed to saying, oh God, you're going to do another show for $300. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're going to ruin 5 people's day for $300. You know what I mean? So what can you do if you're going to, these are the things to be thinking about, you know, to be thinking about, okay, like what's my, in other words, in business, we call it opportunity cost, right? What's my opportunity cost for taking this position, and put that into your price, you know? And if you can't get that show, be cool with it. Be cool with it and just work it till you can. Be like, yo, put the number out in the air. If your number's $2,000, you're doing it till you get $2,000. And yeah, there might be some local or closer ones or different causes that are near and dear to you that'll be quick and easy. Maybe there's Zooms or something. Doing one of those too. I was on a call today for one of those. Much, much cheaper, right? Yeah, you can make those work, but you want to put that price out in the air so that people know when they start calling around for F.L.Y, they go, yo, F.L.Y costs $7,500. You know, I'm just putting that number, you know, if he's coming out to you, that's what he costs, or it could be $750, whatever that number is. You should have that number for real of what it's worth for you. Think about if you're going to the West Coast, you're going to the East Coast, you're going local, you're going to state, you're going overseas. What's it going to be? And then what are you willing to trade if you can't do that? If someone can't do that, maybe they're, you know, they're doing something. They're helping you sell your product when you're there, or they're doing a promotional campaign for you as well that they're tying in. They're going to get you an article, or they're going to get you whatever those things are. You have to have prices for those in your head. And I think that helps. And then you know what you're shooting for. Then you know if you're wasting your time. And then you got to see what that feels like when you get it, if you priced it accordingly, or if it didn't feel that exciting. Because that's the other thing too.
That's the other thing too. You feel like you've been snubbed, bro. Like today,
feel like it.
I sent my wife to get the windshield repaired, and I know what we paid for was like a $50 job, bro. I paid like $120 for it. It felt like I got robbed. Like just
does William Howard know that?
What's up, nephew? Bro, it just felt like I got robbed, bro. Like to your point, like even though $120 in, I mean, like okay, whatever, it's nothing. But like for me, I felt like I got robbed because I know just replacing one chip in my windshield should not cost $120.
Nah. And
you don't want to go out on the road and you rock it or whatever you do for $300, and you get it and you just like, man, this is not even.
Yeah, and this is coming from someone who's probably done like 400 free shows. You know what I'm saying? Like I probably did like 700 shows, and 400 of them have probably been free. You know what I mean? So it's like, trust me, like I understand what I'm saying. How weird it sounds to a lot of people saying, "Yo, I can't turn down that amount." No, I get it, but at some point you'll only continue to get those kind of shows if you don't sort of think it out of the way, and be careful of getting the ding in the windshield kind of deals. Yo, I went to get my son tonight. He loves hot dogs, right? So there's not many places you can actually buy hot dogs at restaurants. There's one place I thought of. I was like, yo, I told my wife, I'm like, oh, I think we're getting a hot dog from the spot. So I went to go there, and it's like this gourmet pizza restaurant that also sells hot dogs, right?
Really?
Yeah. And it's like a family kind of place. So it's kind of weird. They have gourmet pizza and it's family. It's like all themed out, like with like, it's like very cartoonish inside when you go. It's cool. It's a cool spot. We've only eaten in there once. And I was like, yo, I forgot about that spot. And it was near where I had to go. So I get in there and I order the hot dog. And she's like, oh, sorry, we don't have that. I'm like, you don't have hot dogs? I mean, that's like in your name. And she's like, no, we actually don't have the buns. So I was like, all right, but you got the pizzas, right? She's like, yeah, we still got pizzas. So I'm going through the kind of pizzas I want. She's like, oh, you want pizza on a pita? I'm like, no, my son is real traditional. He's going to want a cheese pizza or a pepperoni pizza. Nothing fancy, just straight plain, no spices, none of that stuff. Just that's what he wants. So she finally goes through it and she goes, okay, we can do that. And so I ended up getting a large because I ate the other half part of the other half, which was just cheese, right? I said, all right, he can't eat the little pita pizza. And then the next one was medium. I was like, oh, let's get the large, right? Yo, the pizza and I got him a little side order of waffle fries because he loves Chick-fil-A fries. So I said, in case he don't like the pizza, let me just get this all. It was $29.50, right? Whoa. Now the thing is, he loves the pizza next to our house at this place that he loves it. It's like New York style pizza. It's like $7.50 for like the whole pizza. Right? It's like, so, and I said to the lady, I'm going, you not having these buns, right, is basically costing me an extra $20 because you don't have that bun. You know what I mean? Because I would have just walked next door to my house and got this $7.50 that he loves, and I would have been a hero. And on Friday, we like to give him pizza or whatever, something like that. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, I know, it's real expensive. And I'm like, yo, it's a premium. And I'm thinking, what brought me there in the first place? I like the decor. I like the way it looked. Like, they got me. They got me the recurring business.
It, bro.
But I was also telling her, I was like, you're probably not going to get me again. Because, like, I might come again from an area to come in person, but you just don't have the correct takeout prices. Like, who can afford $29.50 for a pizza and a really small fry, right? And I'm like, when a place next to me is like $7-8 and he loves it. So it's like supply and demand. It's like, if there's someone who does what I do and they live right next to you and they can do it for $300, and then there's me and I'm trying to get 10 grand or whatever, you're never going to hire me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, these are the things we got to think about. It's like, what's the supply? What's the demand? What do you offer? And if you offering the same things everybody, whoever artist it is, we talk about NBA Youngboy a lot. If you sound exactly like NBA Youngboy, and maybe you're undercutting him, right? But then again, he's got 15 times the promotion. That's like me getting into that store. I went to that store, even though there's plenty of hot dog and pizza places. I went to that store because that store was doing it big.
Yeah.
But then I got there and then I'm like, debate and switch. Now I don't want to pay. And I'm like, we got to think about on both sides of the aisle,
Yeah, that's the truth, bro. Yeah, that's the truth, man. So I feel that. So you definitely want to do. I guess the suggestion would be to the artists that do what feels right too. Do what feels right. At the end of the day, knowing your words is also a feeling, man. It's just like, this I'm happy with this, and it may be less than what you probably could get, but if you can be happy with what you get, it makes you feel good about yourself and what you've done. That's worth a lot too.
I say when I'm talking to an artist, though, let's say it was you and you were a new artist and you're coming up to me. If you're a new artist and you don't have any kind of repertoire and you don't have any footage and you don't have any clips and you don't have you might want to do like your first 10 shows free. Like because you got to get booked. It's like catch-22. You don't have experience. Who's going to book you, right? And so it's kind of like you might need to do those shows. So it's not like, hey, I know my worth. I feel I'm worth $5,000. I'm going to charge $5,000. You're never going to get $5,000 if you never did any shows. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta think about it carefully, but I'm just saying that creep in price that you can get comes with narrowing in on who it is that you are and marketing who it is that you are, like, you know what I mean? And trying to think in that lane. So yeah, that's it.
That's it, bro.
And be dope. That's the other
And
thing.
be dope.
be
Be
dopely
dope.
you. Yeah.
Gotta be dope, bro. That's
And if you can dress like Fly, it helps.
don't do it.
If you can dress like Fly, be dope, target it on your market. You got shot at it. You know what I'm saying? You can, and be happy with making 20 to 30 extra grand a year. You don't have to make 200,000 extra a year, 2 million a year. Make an extra 20 grand 1 year, and you're gonna be like, yo, I just made an extra 20 grand this year.
And still have your life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
and
bro.
Still have your life and your thing. Cause like you said, man, I think maybe everyone's not that way either, bro. And I had that dilemma in my own mind earlier.
Later treat.
Thinking about how different we are as human beings, and some of us have competing interests, and I'm one of those people, man. I care about other things other than myself. Like I care about what interests my wife has, and what interests my children have, and I care about being there with them, doing the things that they're interested in, all that kind of stuff. It matters to me. Like there are some cases where I'm like, there's no amount of money in the world that can ever keep me away from X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? And so, because that means that much to me. I guess that's part of kind of knowing yourself and knowing your worth. It's part of putting value on your life as a whole. Is like family is everything to me, and time is everything to me. And so time with my family together is just like a double. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, no amount of money that can just keep me. I'd rather not get it than just to be.
But for you, it might be a video opportunity for your son. You know what I'm saying? So that might make it free. You'd be like, wait a minute, my son can film a video here. All right, cool. We do those trade-offs all the time.
We do those trade-offs all the time, bro. You know how I am with my son, especially when it comes to the videos and stuff like that. Like my family's always involved in things that I do, and even that's intentional because I just like doing stuff with them and creating opportunities for them as well. That makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? That makes me happy.
I do, man. I started showing my son how some of the video editing works. And, you know, he's trying to be a gamer, you know, and he knows the gamer world is about making videos. You know, he's like, Daddy, did you know Ryan is worth like $56 million? You know, and all this YouTubers and all this kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, but I was he's like, Daddy, I need to, maybe I can make a video. I was like, yeah, you can help make me videos. I was like, Fly's son does videos for him. So I showed him the one I made the same day that he said it. I just started making one. I was like, I'm going to make, I don't know if you saw this, but I'll show it to you. It's just a little reel I did of people like, why don't you have your TED Talks on a reel? And I was like, that's a good idea. I should probably put my TED Talks onto a reel. So I wasn't sure if I was going to do all TED Talks or just a little bit extra. So this is what I made. Tell me what you think. This is just my skills, which are minimal.
If you want to reach out real quickly, even to any educators in the room? No, make some noise. Any educators in the room? All right. No, raising their hand like, yes, Professor Lyrical. It's hip-hop, people. Right? We make noise in the classroom. We have a cipher, okay? All right, so cool. Check this out, and I'll leave you with this.
And now I teach the world through my words, still it humbles me. I hug my son once he wakes. His love comforts me. It makes it hard to hate on another remaining ugly. So I got a question. What is it that inspires you? What do you aspire to? And can you think of a place in time that you'd like to retire to? Live the life that makes you alive. Peace. I'm Professor Lyrical. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Professor Lyrical. I want to thank y'all for rocking with me tonight. I just wanted to put a little something together to respect lyricism, hip-hop, spirituality, STEM.
He's like, Daddy, it's so laggy. I was like, yeah, well, the video they posted was laggy.
For
I was like, wasn't me.
And in the words of Big Daddy Kane, just teaching a lesson.
Right?
The pastor, preacher, poet, a teacher, teaching a lesson to be heard. I'm flipping and ribbon and showing nobody has ever been able to keep with the lyrical speed. Yes, indeed, lyrical got what you need. Cause when I be getting the rhythm and then I be really beginning my rhyming and making a miracle out of material lyrics and never been able to find and combining the meta, the physical, literal, coming the pinnacle, medical, mineral. Then I go into it, no one has ever been able to go with the lyrical flow. Peace out.
University. That's my proposal.
Yo, it's Pro. And that's short for Professor Lyrical. Used to just go by Lyrical till I became a professor, but now I really embrace the Pro. You know what I mean? I feel like I become a professional, you know?
Right,
So
Sierra?
that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, peace. Pro, check it out. It's hard to believe that now I wear my heart on my sleeve. Used to wear a sleeve over my heart. That was my starting point, guarded, shielded, concealing how I'm feeling.
Now I dropped some flyers with some bonus material here. I just threw this up,
Still,
to give people an idea what I do.
Stand his ground for all these races. Might attempt to make him turn it down like Jordan Davis. And these are just the faces on the news, and them are famous. But for every Trayvon Martin, there's 100 unsolved cases. Mass incarceration never places the plantation. Boatloads of African Americans like slave ships. So thanks, Miss Alexander, but we got much worse than before, because now they literally making billions on the job for Unicor. Dressed in uniforms, be sure at these federal institutions, civil rights are well denied by this legal prostitution. So what's the solution? I say let's start with college presidents. The ivory tower needs more melanin, more estrogen, more feminine. And just in case you might have confused me as a new version for some Eminem, well, I've never candy coated on my lyrics. What's the benefit? See, that would be irrelevant in a time when non-intelligent lyrics and rap music is what they peddling as the precedent. Suppressing the positive messaging of the original 4 elements of hip-hop as a culture, now subjected to their censorship. Well, I am here self-evident, no cursing, non-repetitive, and instead of just battling rappers, well, these days I'd rather mentor them. Against all these impediments and prejudice, Confederate flags, they flew with pride as they tried to produce evidence of race superiority through the majority of schools. They tried to civilize the natives and prove Africans were fools. See, universities were tools for the racist spewing madness. But before them land-grant colleges, well, there was nothing much for blackness. I said before Barack Obama.
There you go.
If you want to reach out real quickly, even if any educators in the room?
Any educators in the room?
Hey, yo, that's Pro, bro, is a whole vibe, bro.
What you say? I didn't catch you.
Yo, that's Pro. That vibe,
Oh.
bro. It's a whole vibe, bro.
It's a vibe, right?
It's a whole vibe, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson. Yeah, that's what's so cool about that 18th show, because it's the same day. That's the one in Chicago in your old hood. I should ask you. Do you know what Solorio High School is?
No, not at all, bro. I never heard of Solorio High School.
Yeah, it's kind of in
one of those new high schools.
It's like in a nicer area. It's like this is the flyer for that.
What's the address?
I'd have to look it up. Maybe it's on there. Is it on there? No, it's not on there. People just assuming they know. Nah, I don't know. I have to look it up. Let's look it up. Solorio High School. 5400 South St. Louis Ave.
Oh yeah, no, that's way. That's way.
Yeah, I don't know. It means nothing to me, man.
For real.
But yeah, man.
Bro. I feel you, man. I feel you, man. Of course, I'm always taking notes from the professor himself, and
I gotta do one that's just all flyers. You know what I mean? Or like 2-second highlights of every piece of footage that I have from like different shows. Be like bang bang. You know, I don't have that many videos, so most of them will just be like flyers and stuff. I probably get like 100 flyers of like college shows and stuff, but I don't really have the videos. But I think it helps people to go, oh yeah, I could book him to do that too. You know what I mean? So I gotta stop being lazy. You know what I'm saying?
You got this, bro. I got this. I work too much. I got to really just. I be wanting to call myself lazy, bro. I be realizing that, man, I done work 60 hours, bro. Not including getting up and traveling, and then trying to be a husband and a dad to 5 kids, man. I realized that my life is already overbooked, bro. Like,
oh yeah.
You know, and I'm trying to start a business. You know, as an independent artist, you know, that's a business, bro.
Are you a businessman?
And so I've kind of not been as hard on myself about, you know, my activity with certain things. I had to. My wife is the one that's constantly reminding me, like, honey, you do a lot.
Yeah, you do a
Already.
lot. You sure
Yeah.
do.
So,
I think you do more in a day than most people do in a week, bro. For
bro,
the
too
way it
much.
sounds.
Too much, bro. My son had a track meet last night. One of my sons, I have 3 boys, and
How'd
so
he
they
do?
all play sports, man. He was like second and third. He just started like 2 weeks ago running track for the first time ever. It's his second track meet, and he's already getting better and competing and stuff like that. And so, but long story short, bro, so I got off work for like 6 something that last night, and I had to go drop by my pop's crib to go check on him because he's dealing with a disability, so I had to go check on him, throughout the week. When sometimes I miss a whole week and don't even go see him, and I always feel like crap.
Mm.
And so I had to go check on him, and his wheelchair was messed up. So I had to fix it because we don't have any family here. It's just myself and him as far as paternal or maternal family.
Mm-hmm.
They're all still in Chicago, and so I'm over there with him, trying to spend some time with him. The whole time knowing I got the jet because I got to get to a whole nother city over and county over to get to my son's track meet that didn't end to like 9 something that night, and I got to get back home. And
What's now track meets are like? I mean, I did track for 4 years,
crazy, bro.
and it was like right after school, bro. It was like right after school. It was like that's not like a late evening kind of. You don't have any time. You got to get there for like 3:00, right?
Yeah, bro. He left school, went straight to the track meet, and they out there for hours, like 6 to 8 hours, easy. When you can count all of the competitions and stuff that's involved in a track.
Now you guys are in the South, so we had winter track and spring track, and I was terrible at winter track because winter track I did the 100, the 200, the long jump, the triple jump, and eventually the javelin. My senior year, I got basically too fat. I had a girlfriend, and I started going out to eat like all the time and chilling over our house eating nachos. And I was like supposed to be the stud my senior year. My senior year was probably my worst year, and I was like junior year, I was like really in shape. You know what I'm saying? You were talking about second and third. I was like, yeah, I remember being a second and third, and occasionally a fourth. And then my senior year, it was like third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Yeah.
So, javelin, I would still do it because I could still be a little heavier and throw the javelin, but you can't sprint very well when you put on 15 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Didn't really work.
He's gonna be good, man. He loves it. Of course, he plays basketball, so he really started playing track, for the running track.
Yeah.
For his conditioning, to get prepared for the season, they're doing workouts, stuff like that. But I think he's already having more success with track because he's just naturally fast. He definitely got that. My wife and I both ran track when we were younger. I was 100, 200, 4. He's 100, 200, 400, and
400 is terrible.
I was a dog, bro. I couldn't do it.
400 is awful. The 200, I would be out of breath. I would be dead after I run the 200. I'd be like, oh my God.
First time he ran the 4, he outran everyone. It was literally the first time he had ever run the 400. First meet ever.
Yeah.
He got on the team late. He missed auditioning and all that because he was playing ball and track. He missed tryouts because he was playing ball, and he just like, Dad, I still want to run track. And so one of his buddies is on the track team and kind of like talked to coach and letting my son try out because he was fast and he made the team.
Fly solo tracks.
Oh yeah.
Tree's trying to get us some fly in there. I'm looking behind the scenes while you're talking.
F.L.Y in the building. And man, he got out there and he did good, man. I was proud of him, man. I got videos of him running track. So yeah, I do a lot. And sometimes I don't realize how much, and it's my wife that reminds me because
I never had a parent go to a track meet, bro. I never.
Yeah, and that's another thing about us too, man. We're like adamant about, kind of like supporting our children because, we both missed that, growing up. And like, I think that's probably why her and I both got away from sports. We both were good in competitive sports equally. And we didn't have anybody that was getting us up, making us go, pushing us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just think about the possibilities. And I don't know, bro. I thought about putting 5 kids through college, and I'm like, them scholarships, bro. So I'm like,
you better get that. Yeah.
So
academic or sports or otherwise,
you know what I mean, bro? Like, if you could just get whatever I can get out of
you should talk to me, man. Definitely. I know a lot about scholarship angles and stuff that's out there, and I could be definitely a resource.
I got one, man, that's 17, man. This is her senior year. She'll be 18 next month, in just a few weeks, man. So we're gearing up, getting her ready for school, and she kind of wants to. She's leaning kind of a couple directions. One being law, and I think that probably is just the pursuing of reaching for some of those things that we know can be rewarding kind of professions. And then I think her heart is kind
Sierra
of like,
Banks is chiming in saying we need you, Fly, so take advantage of that opportunity, right?
exactly. And so I
He
think
will.
her heart is probably in culinary. She spent a lot of time in the kitchen with me when she was younger, and so
Oh, really?
yeah, and so she kind of picked that up naturally, organically almost, and early childhood. So she has a lot. She's the
Wow, that's a lot.
oldest of
That's all over
five.
the place.
Yeah, she's the
Early
oldest of
childhood,
five
legal, and culinary.
in culinary. So
Wow.
there's probably one that could. I mean, if she gets into early childhood, she can definitely do both with the culinary part, right? Because you can do avenues of a daycare, kind of spin off. You got to prepare meals for them, so you can do the nutritional part of it, so you can kind of combine the two, and kind of tie some entrepreneurship into it. So yeah, she's kind of all over the place. I think some of it for her is the organic part is definitely probably early childhood of.
Was she
She's
trying to
kind of
go in-state, outstate? What?
she definitely needs to be in state right
Okay.
now. Just for the affordability.
Yeah.
And I've always felt this way. I won't say always, but the last decade or so, with the price of college tuition just continuously rising, just really simply due to the technological fees that's now being associated with attending colleges and stuff like that. It's just like your first 2 years, a lot of prereqs and stuff like that. There's no reason to pay 25 G's
Right.
for you to get something that you can get for 5.
I'm leaving your wife's comment up there, bro, so you can see. You see it?
Yeah, man.
I was like, no, I was like, I know you mean me. I know you need to.
we need to. We working on
Here's the thing I would say, using my own university as a thing, and I know we got to jump soon. I would say this is that you can go to certain state schools cheaper than your own state school, and a lot of people think that that's not the case. I would definitely compare what, and think about this, like even from an entertainment perspective, you're always that dude when you're traveling, right? You are also that dude or that lady. In other words, you're a bigger deal when you're going somewhere else, and
yeah, that's true.
there's an element of that in college too. In other words, colleges have a certain amount that they need to take from their local area, right? And that whole mindset, need to take from the local area, also can affect the package that they get or don't get.
Right.
So in other words, it's almost like charity, right? Same way when I went to UMass Lowell, because I lived in Lowell, right? Actually, I was one town over from Lowell, but anyone in Greater Lowell, they were basically pretty lenient with certain taking you. But I didn't get any money. It wasn't like they were like, oh, come. No, you were paying full price, I didn't know anything about college scholarships or any of that stuff. I applied to 4 schools and I got accepted to them all. And I was like, which one's the cheapest? Right. And I wanted to go to UMass Lowell. So I was like, oh yes, thank you. And, but I never even thought about applying out of state and thinking that out of state could be cheaper, because you always hear in state's cheaper. It's cheaper because that school would charge you more for someone out of state, but you got to compare the out of state schools too. Like my school is dirt cheap. Like you can go to UDC, which is an HBCU, dirt cheap, even if you're out of state, because it's publicly funded, but there's a lot of stuff working for it because it's got federal dollars, it's got state dollars, it's got local dollars. So they have they have the DC price, they have the DMV price, and they have the completely out of state price, right? Which is out for DC. They call the state DMV.
Right.
If you're in the district, if you're in Maryland or you're in Virginia, it's in state. Yeah, that's all considered like, in the region, let's call it. So outside of that, I mean, you can put the prices up on the screen, just put them side by side, and you'll actually be like, what? And in some cases, it's $1,000 more, but then you can qualify for different kind of things because of the kind of school you go into. You might qualify for something totally different because it's an HBCU, right? And so that HBCU, you can tie into an HBCU scholarship, and now you go into an HBCU or something that's benefiting students who are in certain majors. Like we have early education, we have a law school. Law school is like nationally ranked, and it's a beautiful campus, and it's in the suburbs part of DC, at least main campus where the law school is, right? Beautiful part. It's actually over by when you get up, I don't know how well you know the area, but it's getting close to Maryland and Bethesda and up that neck of the woods.
So
It's not in like southeast, it's in northwest, which is a whole, it's where the ambassadors live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
much
on
nicer.
campus, you look behind the campus, literally all the ambassador houses are there, like the mansions, you know, and it's like that part of DC. But I just throw that out there because that's just one example, because that's the one I work at. But it's, you know, I would look, if you even thinking about HBCUs, what's unique about ours is we're a public land grant, a public urban land grant. So there's a lot of funding now that the federal government has done for HBCUs, right, on a different level for public land grants, whatever. I think it's an incredible deal, you know, going to HBCUs that are, especially if you can find public ones. A public HBCU is kind of like, to me, it's like the move, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I agree. We definitely want her to get that experience. Starting off, I guess the kind of like the approach is to kind of keep her a little closer to the nest.
Well, that's also too, that's valuable too for you guys. I mean, so you might want to overpay to do that.
You know what I'm saying?
I ain't trying to have my son go. My wife would probably be, she's like, yeah, you probably need that experience. I'm like, nah.
especially now my eldest do it.
Within an hour.
Yeah, man, it's just like I gotta try to keep her as close as possible. At least
that's a whole nother
and,
concern.
Yeah, and eventually, you know, I want her too, though, to also get that experience, because I've learned through my travels in my 20s that the expansion of the ideas that I have, even as a professional, came because I was in an environment outside of where I was accustomed to being. And I learned a lot from being in other areas, around other professions that were not in the area that I was used to being in. So I definitely want her to get that experience. When you're well traveled, you tend to have different perspectives and outlooks of opportunities and just life in general. So I would definitely want her to get that experience at some point. So yeah, we talked about that, and also because she's kind of a little bit, you know, not sure exactly what she wants to do, kind of gives her a little time to kind of think about that a little more too, before we branch out and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of up in the air a little bit, but we definitely will be talking, bro, about the scholarship aspect, just the kind of moves we can make, things I can do with her, my wife and I, to kind of help prepare her for that. And I got to get myself in position, man, because I'm getting closer to having to buy another vehicle and just all kind of stuff, man. So yeah, man, it's just a lot.
It's a lot of stuff going on there. Tree put my son is doing awesome at BU. Still can't believe he got himself. Technically, that says $70, Tree, but I think you mean $70,000 scholarship. Wow, should put a period instead of a comma. So I'm like, is that $70?
Was definitely 70K, bro. 70K, I can use one of those.
That's what I'm talking about.
I go back to school if I can get a 70K.
Would you send her to BU? She got a $70,000 scholarship.
Absolutely. She
right.
The first thing smoke. I'd drive if I had to.
Yeah, the only problem with BU, and I say this from someone who's a Northeastern person, Northeastern and BU compete for the same students.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these elite universities that cost a lot of money. Sorry.
How far would 70K get you at BU? What, 2 semesters, maybe?
If you're not dorming, if you're dorming, it's going to be 1 semester.
That's crazy, man.
It absolutely is. No, what I was going to say, the only problem with BU I have is that it doesn't have any campus. It's all buildings. It's you know where Fenway Park is? You walk outside Fenway Park and you drive for a mile. It's a stretch of a mile right where you are at Fenway Park. That's all BU. And so a little more than a mile, but it's just all old buildings, and you just go from one building to the next. So it's very walk down the street. It's not like you're on grass. So it doesn't have the yard feeling. You know what I'm saying?
The campus feeling. It's just a bunch of buildings with downtown.
But it's an amazing school, though.
Buildings that's converted into university buildings. That's
amazing school, though. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, bro. Coming that way.
We're gonna drop these. We're gonna drop a little fly for you. We're gonna play the YouTube, which gets us our signal kicked off. So if you're not watching it on my Facebook.com/Professor Lyrical page, good, because that one will probably go off. You can watch it on our YouTube. I think you're on YouTube. Oh no, Tree, you're on Facebook. So it could kick you off when I play the Forever Lives Yahweh. from Facebook, but we don't care because it's the end of our show. So we're gonna go out with some Fly. I think we're gonna play some work. Is that appropriate?
You know, putting in, getting in, work.
Let's do that. Let's get some work. We're gonna go out with work. We're gonna call it a week, and we'll see you here next week. I think with my man Tron. So look forward to seeing my man Tron. And if I'm wrong on that and it's Omega Red, I'll let you know. But either way, Tron's a great friend. I can't wait to see him, and it'll be dope. Thanks for everybody hanging out. Thanks for Fly, and we're gonna rock out with putting in that work. That Jedi level. All right, let's pull that video up. Boom, boom. Oh, look at that ad. That dog looks mean right there. I actually wanted to see that one all the way through.
Shout out to my homie Block too, man. Oh, you got to work? I just need to throw my clothes on. Stop by the spot, get the bread. Show me your location. Bet.
Was that a Jacksonville accent or a Chicago one?
I'm torn.
F.L.Y. Okay. Work. Who you know? Putting in, getting in, work. In the lab, putting in, getting in, work. Take half, do the math, make a math, work. Doing what I can with the merch. I ain't have much, but I'm making it work. I be in the lab with the LED lights, make 'em take L like Cool J. Just when they thought they had it on lock, got the game tied up like a shoelace. Ain't but a few that can rock with the crew. See, most of y'all dudes, y'all two-faced. Take a real one and know a real one. I can see who fake. Milky, rim red, Snow White. Looking like I hit it with a toothpaste. High top fans and a snapback. Skateboard trip like a Lupe. Jump on stage, get the crowd hype. Show packed out like a suitcase. Jumping in line like it's my turn. Coming for the top like a toupee. Woo! Who you know? Putting in, getting in, work. In the lab, putting in, getting in, work. Take half, do the math, make a math, work. Doing what I can with the merch. I ain't have much, but I'm making it work. On point, D-Rose, Jesus, he rose, he pro, teach mode, she code, beast mode, D9, ego, he fly, ego, say so, reach goals, he cold, Eskimo, I'm bad, Michael, stand tall, iPhone, move weight, lipo, too crazy, psycho, lights out, black glow, blackout, light show, in the lab, white coat, this track, viral. Who you know? Putting in, getting in, work. In the lab, putting in, getting in, work. Take half, do the math, make a math, work.
Fly.
Doing what I can with the merch. I ain't have much, but I'm making it work. Who you know? Putting in, getting in, work. In the lab, putting in, getting in, work. Take half, do the math, make a math, work. Doing what I can with the merch. I ain't have much, but I'm making it work.
Work. I go to work. That was Fly, baby. Forever Lives Yahweh. I think we saw a little LD cameo in there.
Oh yeah, man. We had the
Little Charlie action.
We had the fam in there.
We got
good, bro.
We got Sierra CC Banks definitely giving that work fire.
My
Putting
big
in. Fly. Let's reroute. Yes, love this video. Sleep well. Yeah. Haha. Fly work. Yeah, that's the anthem. I mean, that is definitely you, bro. That is,
that's the
you were putting in
anthem
work.
right
If you were doing nothing else, you were putting in that work. putting in work. I'm thinking about finishing the verse myself. That's what I'm going to do for the next half hour. Believe it or not, I was working on a little verse earlier. I got started. I got excited about it, and I had to stop. I was like,
I know. Don't you hate that, bro?
Yes.
When you feeling it and you're like really in the mood for it and you rolling with it and then something happens. And that's the story of my life, bro. That's the story of my life. I can get my most influence, like we talk about this all the time, in the
What
morning.
up, Dr. Struthers?
My mornings before work, on my way in, my devotional time is when I'm like the most energetic, locked in, and then the overwhelming pack that, man, let me get in this place, man, and because I know work's piling up waiting on me when I get in there, and I just or my phone will ring, or one of my managers calls me, or my director, it's just always something, and it's just like, let me stop.
They're calling you at home? What are you talking about?
Calling me from work,
man.
Bro, they calling me, and I'm in a parking lot. I'll do this. I'll leave home at a reasonable time. Number one, because the park is terrible. Wow.
So it's like before work even starts. You're saying
before work even starts, bro.
Getting those calls coming.
I'm trying to get there like an hour before I really have to be there.
I do that.
Yeah, bro, and it's just the most peaceful time for me, and I'm refreshed. And I'm not bogged down from the day. It's much easier for me to write that time than it is.
There's a catch-22 though. You know what I mean? That's my colleague right there, Mark Struthers, too, who works with me as well. And you know, we all know, like, sometimes when you reply to messages before or after work, it sets a bad precedent, you know, because then you start feeling like, oh, now I have to start checking my messages. It's like 8 o'clock, and it's like, you know, you're doing it. You're like, looking at. I'm trying to on the weekend be like, I'm not looking at my school email. I'm like, my son's looking at me, Daddy, don't do it. You know, what's that?
I deliberately don't have any work emails coming to my phone. I could, I refuse to do it. Like, I'm not.
Well, yeah, I mean that's probably smart, but it doesn't mean you won't go on the laptop and check them out.
Right, and listen, they got this thing, right? So I have a company laptop, right, and I never leave it. I never take it out of my office. I leave it.
Oh, okay.
And my office manager, he stopped me the other day. He said, Howard, how's the laptop going? And I'm just like,
it's going great in the drawer.
You know what I'm saying? He's kind of like dual, because he kind of works for the hospital as well as on both sides. He's kind of like a liaison kind of person. And so he's also like a property manager too. He keeps up with all the equipment, everything's tagged and all that stuff, because it technically belongs to the hospital and not us. And he's like, how's the laptop going? I'm just like, you probably shouldn't leave it in the office. I'm like, Jim, you're just going to have to give me another key, because I'm not taking that laptop home with me.
I know what happens when that goes home, right?
I know. I've been there. I did that before with another company I worked with, like in 13, Landmark Healthcare. And I actually got my window busted out of my car. Somebody stole it. I was parked literally in front of the church.
You left the laptop visible, huh?
You know what I'm saying? Parked in front of the church, bro.
Cardinal sin.
Went inside. I wasn't even in there probably 5 minutes. Came back out. My whole window was gone. The laptop was gone, bro.
Yeah, that's so. I don't even leave a coat showing my like nothing. Yeah, nothing visible.
It's tragic, bro.
Can't do it, man. Nothing visible. She wrote at church. She wrote at church.
At church, bro. I was at church, bro. I just stepped in and just deliver a message and come back out, and my window. I had to replace my window.
Ain't that the way?
And file a police report for the
company. I had to file a police report for a laptop that I also lost. That was a job laptop, and it was a theft technically. But here's what I did. I was parking at a meter. This was when I was at Northeastern. I was parking at a meter, and I went to hit my lock, but I hit the trunk button by mistake, and I walked away. I never knew, and I got back to, and I was thinking about it when I got to my desk. I was like, you know what? I didn't hear the button. I didn't hear it. When I hit the thing, I didn't hear it. And I'm like, in my head walking, going, imagine if I hit the wrong button. And I'm like, that would be the trunk, yo. I was like, oh man, what do I have in the trunk? And I'm like, I had this bag. It was like a nice bag, right? With the laptop in the bag. And sure enough, I got to it and the bag was gone. But I had the trunk wide open in the middle of the city. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, even a Boy Scout might take that. You know what I mean? Like that temptation's real. Oh man, I couldn't even be mad. And so I had to go in to, and it's funny. Here's the funny story. I'll wrap this up too. I was teaching at Northeastern, right? And I might have told you this. Northeastern is exactly next to Wentworth Institute of Technology, which is a science and math institution. It's like a MIT, right? And so I applied I asked my boss, first of all, I was like, would you mind if I teach like one extra class next door? And, it'd be like off hours or whatever. They have one in the morning before we start. And she was like, yeah, I guess so. She was real cool with that. Right. And I said, it's not so much that I really want to teach the class. It's that I can park there. Their parking cost was a $150 a semester. At Northeastern, it's $4,000 for the year. So it's $2,000 a semester. So I'm like, $2,000, $150. I'm like, whatever they're paying.
Right.
I'm almost getting $2,000.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like getting $1,850 off the parking deal. And the semester before was the only semester that I actually decided to start doing the parking instead of just playing the lottery and parking at the meters. Right. I was like 18 for $2,000. I can get a lot of tickets. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I can get premium spots if I'm going to get a ticket, And so, yeah, I had to go to Wentworth where I was teaching, and they gave me the laptop. And I was like, yeah, I had my laptop stolen. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, were you in a public building? Or I was like, no, I wasn't in a public building. they were like, were you on school property? No, I was close to school property. And they're like, okay, could you, do you have any idea like who might have taken it or what the situation was? And I was like, well, kind of left my trunk open. You know what I'm saying? And miraculously, they hired me again to teach an online course. And this time they were like, they asked me, they were like, hey, do you need a laptop? I was like, yeah, I actually do. They actually sent me one. I was like, oh, wow.
Couldn't believe that, huh?
Could not believe that.
Yeah, bro,
but much like yourself, speaking of laptops, I'm using my own laptop. I went out and bought a better one, for all the recording and this kind of stuff, right?
I'm in that mode.
And this one is real nice, but I got my work. I just actually sent an email to my dean the other day, and I was like, speaking of laptop, it's probably about time for me to inquire about getting another one. I don't even know what the process is, but I've been using the same old laptop that I had. And I've been there 4.5 years. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, definitely.
4.5 years in a laptop is like an eternity, And I'm like, this thing is so slow now. It's that time. So, but yeah, much like you, I know when I take that laptop home and it's the work laptop, like I look at that like, oh, that's the work laptop. I have to check my work email with that. Like, and it's a pain sometimes having the multiple browsers. I'm like, no, this one's going to open my work email. And I'm like, should I really be checking my work email at 9:00 on a Saturday night? Like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying?
It's a trap, bro.
It's no matter where you work, it's a bad culture to be contributed to. We all do it, So try to crack that code. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, sir. I'll let you out of here. And thanks a lot, Dr. Struthers, for chiming in. Good to see you, and all the people who checked in, and all of our people who will be watching tomorrow. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
Saturday mornings are a big day for the ProQuo show. All right, take care, y'all.
Peace.